everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do a fun little project here. So I've been coloring in these like super bold, easy coloring books by Coco Wyo and Coloring Book Cafe. And they're just fun. Like you kind of can just let loose and not really care about proper shading and the more complex marker work, which I do love to do, like I've done stuff like this here with all the shading and layering, but sometimes you just don't want to do that. And then of course, when you're working with something like CreateSpace paper, it gets a little harder. So I thought it would be fun to do a little tutorial on wood grain, creating like my own wood grain here. And it's very simple, and we're doing a beginner-friendly tutorial. So if you're already a little bit more advanced in markers, then probably wait till the next video. This is basically keeping along with my lines of I've been doing some beginner-friendly tutorials just to get you started, and I'm even working in the book on CreateSpace paper. So there's two things you need to remember before you start with markers on CreateSpace paper, which is Amazon printed paper. One, you don't have a lot of blending time. It soaks in very quickly. It will take more ink out of your marker. So if you're using Copics, probably don't do that. Use a cheaper marker. It can also damage your nib, so keep that in mind. But it's a very thirsty paper, unlike marker paper where the ink stays on top and allows you to blend. So you have to get a little bit more creative, but it's not a problem. You don't need to get fancy paper. You don't need to scan this. I'm going to show you. Okay, so the colors I am working with are by no means the colors you have to use. I'm using just 3 colors, basically a light tone, mid-tone, dark tone. So my light is E110, also known as dark suntan. My next is E080, praline, and then I have copper, E130. Again, remember, this is for beginners. Okay, so what we're going to do first is, as you can see here, I had already started, but you are just going to color in your base color. Gosh, I have a frog in my throat. Now, another thing with CreateSpace paper is it does bleed. So when you're going near the edges, be very light, because it will bleed over. And in fact, sometimes you can leave yourself like a little bit of a grace line there, but it's so thirsty and sucks up the ink that it'll actually spread. So try not to be heavy-handed when you're going around objects. I mean, these books have really nice big lines, but they still bleed over. As you can see, I had some bleed over here. So we're just going to put down our base color. I highly recommend getting these books. I'll link this one in the description below. It's pretty cute. Especially if you want to just do like beginner marker practice. And these books in particular would actually be really good if you wanted to practice doing marker base and then shading with pencil. Okay, doesn't matter that it's still wet. Now, granted, in an ideal marker situation, you would want it wet so you can manipulate and move around the color. It's already soaking in. So now we're going to go to our mid-tone, which is praline, E080. Just remember, if you're following along, basically pick a light, a medium, and a dark, okay? So we have our base color down, and now all I'm going to do is create little squiggly lines here and there, maybe a knot here and there, some jagged lines, straight lines, lines in the middle for no reason. Again, over here, we'll do the same thing, some squiggly, some random, make a little knot. You want to be a little lighter handed when you do this though, because like I said, the color does bleed, which means it's going to separate out. Okay, now we take our darkest tone, and honestly, same thing. Maybe I want a little knot here. I'm barely putting any pressure, by the way. And And some of these I'm overlapping, some I'm not. Some are squiggly, some are straight. Same thing over here. You know what? Let's make a knot there. Sorry, the jets always fly over when I'm recording. I'm not kidding. The Air Force Base has some sort of beacon on me. Oh, she's filming. Okay, and then I could even go back over this one. Maybe I don't like how some of these lines turned out and I want to add more. Add some straight ones there, maybe a little straight one there, a little squiggly one here, another knot there. Okay. Now I'm actually going to take the color I used for the coat and add lines, because no matter what, you're adding layers. Markers do layer. So even if you've already put this color down, putting this color on top, it will show up. Add a little there, add a little there. And I'm gonna go back to my medium one, and I'm just like really going back and forth and just kind of adding where I want more color, or like, you know, I want it to be a little darker, lighter. Like over here, I'd like this one to have a little bit more of a darker one, so I'm grabbing my darker marker again, add another knot there, squiggly line, and then I'm going to add some more lines to this one as well. And then I'm taking my medium color here and just adding a little bit more on this one. But again, I'm keeping my tip very light, because if I were to press down, the ink would bloom. All right. And ta-da, we just made some wood grain texture, and it's super simple. Now you can wait for your base coat to dry if you don't want your lines to kind of bloom out. Like, see how they, on this one where it was wet, they bloomed out a bit, whereas on this one they stayed more lines. I often like to let them bloom on the first layer and then go back, but that's really all there is to it. And you can quickly make wood grain using, just remember, you need a light color, medium color, dark color. In the browns, they don't have to be brown. You can make a blue fence, a white fence, whatever you want. And then just remember, put your base coat down and then start making straight lines, squiggly lines, the little knots you would find in the wood. And the more you add, the better. Just make sure you're always keeping the lines separated. So you don't want to like just sit there and go crazy with your brown, but really don't overthink it. And that's it. I hope that helped, and soon I'll post another beginner friendly marker video. So until next time, take care. Bye now.